Basically tonight's, the goal of tonight is to listen to the folks, to hear what's going on in your communities, to understand how you think the county can help support the communities in transitioning to electric vehicles and promoting EV adoption and deploying charging stations. So tonight in this room and in the broader room, we'll have representatives from the county and from other agencies who are here to learn and listen and answer questions as needed. But the main focus tonight is about you folks, whether you represent an organization, whether you come from a community, a municipality, a homeowners association. So can people just let us know briefly, why did you choose this breakout room? Anybody?
I'm Michelle Sands from Collington, and we have about 6 electric vehicles here, and we're plugging in as we can. We're trying to, our climate action committee is trying to set up a program with 7 charging stations for both residents and staff.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And Jeff, if you could go to the next slide, please. Sorry about that. Anybody else want to just very briefly?
Yeah, hi, this is Steve from the Greenbelt's Green Team. We're actively involved in trying to figure out a standard or policy for our small municipality for adopting charging stations and electric vehicles. We have a number of HOAs also in our small city, and that's going to be a pretty heavy lift getting the HOAs to participate. We also have some commercial spaces, shopping centers, as well as office parks. So we've really got quite a bit going on, and we're actively trying to figure that out now.
Okay. Thanks for those of you who chimed in about why you're here. And what we want to just go over is obviously the benefits of accelerating the deployment of electric vehicles and charging stations. There are a range of human health benefits that transitioning to electric vehicles will help with in terms of reducing air pollution and preventing health issues like asthma. There's also economic benefits in terms of saving money for the county and residents, and reducing the cost of electric vehicles by increased adoption. And then also it can be a catalyst for economic growth. Next slide, please, Jeff. And so briefly, a snapshot of what the county has been up to recently. The county has gotten funding from the Maryland Energy Administration in terms of reducing their petroleum consumption. PEPCO and BG&E have rebate pilots to help offset the costs of charging stations for homes and multifamily properties. There's a green fleet policy at the county level that is aiming to increase the uptake of purchase of energy efficient vehicles. And Public Works is modernizing the bus fleet in terms of installing electric charging stations and replacing diesel trucks with electric trucks. So that's just a snapshot of things that are going on in your county. And it's important to know that actions are being taken at a number of levels. We could also talk about municipalities. Hyattsville had the first Chevy electric Bolt police car. They're on track to get a new, I think, first in the state, electric trash truck. And homeowners associations across the county are now able with the right to charge, I guess, law. Is that right, Jeff? That HOAs can now not prevent folks from installing charging stations. So there's a lot of things going on at a lot of levels. If you could go to the next slide, Jeff. And then sort of in a more macro sense, we've got change happening all over the place as well in terms of the increase in sales of electric vehicles, the increase in demand for jobs, folks who will service those electric vehicles, and employed in the manufacture and sales of those electric vehicles. All of those things are on an increase. This is sort of the $80,000 per year job of the future, is an EV charging station technician. So those are some of the things that are happening at the macro level as we think about what's happening here in Prince George's County. Next slide, Jeff. So what we really want to know tonight from you folks is, how do we get there, right? The county's Climate Action Commission has been working over the past 6 months to listen and learn from you folks, county residents, technical experts, and there's been 3 actions that have been proposed thus far, and you see them there on the screen, for transitioning to electric vehicles in terms of supporting accelerated development of EVs for the community, while also leading by example by replacing vehicles at the county fleet, supporting EV charging infrastructure on county properties, as well as EV charging infrastructure on new and existing multifamily and commercial housing. Those are the 3 that have been proposed thus far. Next slide, Jeff. So here's where I turn it over to you. So first of all, we were going to do sort of a visualization exercise. This will just take a minute. I want everybody to take a minute and think about, what could a program around electric vehicles look like in Prince George's County? Who's involved? What are they doing? What time scale is this happening at? What support is being offered by the county or other entities? And what would specifically be helpful for you and your neighbors in terms of doing this? So just take minutes and think about that. Okay, so we have a couple different ways that you can share what you're envisioning. You can just raise your hand and we'll call on you, and you can tell us, and we will type your notes out so that they're captured, or you can type your vision into the chat box. Either way. Would anybody like to volunteer to go first?
I would like to go first.
Okie doke.
Okay. Yes. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jabari Woodbury, and I come from. Give me 1 minute.
Oh, okay. I think Jabari got called away, and we had a little bit of a hard time. Oh, okay. Jabari, are you back?
Yes, I'm back. Did my internet cut out? Okay.
We're having some trouble hearing you, Jabari.
Okay, let me see. Can you guys hear me now?
Better, yes, thank you.
All right. My name is Jabari Woodbury, and I come from Prince George's County, and I'm in ecology. I'm joined ecology club in my school. I come from Fairmount Heights, and we're working to improve the stats of climate change and prevent the actions that people do every day that lead to climate change affecting our world negatively. So I think some ways that we can improve that is by cutting down our use of gas vehicles, using bikes, or resort to walking if the miles is not too long for us to walk. And yes, that's my ways that I think we can improve the stats of climate change in our
Okay,
world.
thank you, Jabari. Who would like to go next?
Yeah, actually, this is Cheryl Court, and I'm with the Coalition for Smarter Growth. I wanted to just concur with what Jabari was talking about. About 10% of Prince George's households don't have access to a vehicle. And so it kind of builds on, while we definitely need to build EVs into, all new multifamily development. EVs is a very important part of this equation. We also need to just make it that we don't have to rely as much on driving into the future, so that we can, leverage the opportunities for more transit-oriented development, investment in transit, and basically support the land uses that allow people to not have to own any vehicle because they can rely on riding the bus or taking transit or walking or biking.
Super. Thank you very much, Cheryl. Who else would like to tell us what their vision is?
Joseph will go if that's okay.
Yeah, Joseph, and a reminder, folks, if you can keep yourself on mute while someone is speaking, that would be great. Go ahead, Joseph.
So yes, I guess my vision would be, who would do it, would be a new transportation focused agency in Prince George's County, no more doubling up the transportation with the Department of Public Works. Second, what I would like to see a running electric BRT system on 5 to 10 minute headways, when as quick as possible, where all the major arterials in Prince George's County, or at least the ones that make the most sense, and how, I guess, it'll take leadership and money to do that. And yeah, but I guess my biggest concern, besides what was mentioned about the equity issues, since a good number of people don't have cars, I also am concerned that there just aren't enough resources when it comes to ethical lithium mining to be able to buy everyone a new electric vehicle. I think we're going to have to really boost our public transportation, which will also help with land use.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joseph, for following the who, what, where, when, why, and how. Who else would like to tell us what they think could happen, should happen?
This is John. I would.
John, go ahead, John.
Joseph mentioned, well, first of all, how. Joseph mentioned we need money. So I recommend that Prince George's County encourage the state of Maryland to launch the Transportation and Climate Initiative, TCI, in order to provide funding for it. How can Prince George's County help support EV infrastructure? Well, it needs to both increase and improve whether it's the permitting department or the permitting process, or both. It needs to be increased and improved because it's taking far too long. When we put in a request to install an EV charging station or a PV system, that needs to be improved. And if we can get funding, we need to start designing and implementing innovative technologies and programs. I'll just give you an example. A small loop bus that's on a fixed route, that's autonomous, that's electric, and has some way of being charged up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. And just in the interest of time, because we started a little bit late, would one more person like to go and share their vision?
Steve Skolnick. Electric school buses. This county runs more school buses than any other county in the state, and they're diesel. It's ridiculous. We need to move on that immediately, and that would be the first thing to do. The second thing is we need to be following California's legislation that requires ride shares, Uber and Lyft, to electrify their fleet dramatically and quickly. And this has two functions. One, it promotes use of electric vehicles in lower economic classes, which diversifies the economic reach of the EVs tremendously. And the second, of course, is that it reduces the number of gasoline miles just in general. Those are the two things. Both of those need to happen post haste. And only the school buses, will cost the county money. But as we know, EVs are so inexpensive to operate that the school buses will pay for themselves over their lifespan. And that point needs to be made to county council. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. Okay. Well, thank you very much for all that input. We're going to go to the next slide. And we're going to take a few minutes to hear from you about how would this action, meaning transitioning to electric vehicles and charging stations, how will this affect you personally or your community? Specifically, what are the challenges, or what are the things that concern you about purchasing electric vehicles or charging station maintenance, range anxiety, how far you can go on an electric car? Some other things, do we need to do workforce redevelopment or retrain people? Do we need charging stations at specific places? So challenges or opportunities, and just weigh in with whatever you think are there. If you want to raise your hand, you can do that, or if you'd like to just, Joseph. Then, oh, sorry, Joseph, and then Joe Robalski. You're on mute, Joseph, I think.
I think I still had my hand up from earlier, but I'll just say I am worried about the upfront cost of EVs and think that there should be some sort of also possibly green bank program to provide, to allow for long-term financing at low rates, because I think that will help with the transition.
Okay. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I would like to see, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. I would like to see PG County take a proactive stance in getting ready to defend against effective bans on EVs. I think we've seen just in the past week that, Florida passed a bill, I think today, preventing municipalities from choosing renewables, that it can't happen at the municipal level anymore. And we're really just starting to see traditional automakers, big oil, fossil fuel interests start to play defense on this. So if there's a way to work with COG or some other group to make sure that we have a unified defense against additional tax levies for EV owners, that kind of thing that would make it even more expensive via the legal system. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joe. John, you're next.
We need Pepco, BGE, and other electric utility companies to help modernize the electric grid in historical districts, such as the World War II era or FDR era co-op housing in Greenbelt that needs improved upgrades to the electrical system for EV charging. Thank you.
Okay, and Cheryl mentioned in the chat, add EV charging facilities in all new multifamily housing. That seems to make a lot of sense. Public libraries and rec centers, all government buildings. Yeah, all good ideas. Challenges are affordability and some effective bans. Okay, anybody else have any?
Hey, just to point out for the benefit of folks on the call, we had a project with Prince George's County. It was noted in an earlier slide to support with the EV planning for government operations, and the consultant team went to every library, almost every library in the county, and pretty much all the large municipal buildings, went into electrical rooms, did assessments of the electrical capacity, the distance to parking where you put in the chargers. So there is a concerted effort to really look at where in the county can chargers be deployed. And there, as part of that, there was some very close work with Pepco and BGE, given they have approval from the PSC to deploy chargers for the public use that could be installed at county facilities such as the Equestrian Center. So just know that there is some good work going on that.
Excellent, thanks, Jeff. And I'm sure that will feed into the climate plan. Okay, any other comments in the chat box or Joe? Oh, sorry, Joe, go right ahead again.
No, sorry about that. I need to lower my hand. My bad.
Oh, okay, that's all right. Okay. Going once, going twice.
I would make one more comment if I could, and,
yes.
and it is that one of the challenges that we have is that we're early in the development of companies that do EV charging, and there are a bunch of different ones, and there's going to be a shakeout in the years to come. But right now, it's complicated. As an EV owner, and I am one, you know, there's ChargePoint and there's this and there's that company and there's EVgo and there's Green Lots, and you have to have all these different accounts. You know, if you're moving around the area, there needs to be a standardization in the same way that there's been a standardization of the type of plug that we plug our cars in. There needs to be a standardization of how these chargers work, how they look, how you interact with them as a customer, because you know right now it's a little bit scary.
Fair enough. An integrated system, which I'm sure many other countries have at the sort of federal level.
It's the same. It's the same thing as what happened when 100 years ago when oil companies were just starting to make gasoline and whatnot. You know, there was no standardization and availability was very iffy, and you had range anxiety if you drove a gasoline powered vehicle.
Sure.
I'm sure that it's coming, but it needs to come quickly.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. I think we're going to conclude this portion and move on to the next slide. So what we want to talk about here is equity. And the county's climate action plan, one of the key parts of this is ensuring that it is implemented in an equitable fashion and that we don't negatively impact already underserved and overburdened communities. So toward that end, we have to ask, if everything goes well, who will benefit from this? Who might be left out or burdened by this? And generally, how do we ensure that it benefits the most vulnerable populations in Prince George's County? So again, if you want to raise your hand or even just shout things out, go right ahead.
I feel some benefits that will who will benefit. I feel like it will benefit the individuals in the community who love to travel back and forth, or who always travel or have to go to work, who work most of the time, or who attend colleges or schools. I feel that will benefit. That's the most the community will benefit.
Okay.
I just, this is Cheryl Court. I just wanted to go back to sort of the point that 10% or so of households don't own a car in Prince George's. And I don't think the goal should be that every household has a car and needs to rely on a car. It's that we should pair the critical transition to electric vehicles with enhancing other more sustainable transportation choices that have a lot of co-benefits, transit-oriented development, great transit, great walking and bicycling facilities.
Okay.
I would second that and add that once again, the rideshare community it definitely benefits people in the lower economic classes, and that's an important thing for council to consider. Also, come on, we're cleaning the air. Cleaner air benefits everybody who lives in Prince George's County. Let's not forget that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Other comments regarding equity? Joseph noted that getting hit by an electric car still has an impact and highways still divide communities. And Cheryl is also emphasizing that we need to think about folks who are not car users, and to emphasize more transit-oriented development, cycling and walking opportunities. So how do we prioritize these projects? How do we promote these opportunities? Anybody?
We can use social media platforms to spread awareness about the creation of electric vehicles and the safety and the importance about using electric vehicles over gas vehicles.
Okay. What other ways do we ensure that this transition is equitable? More rebates and reduced utility costs. Excellent.
make a lot of the job training that's needed for EV infrastructure be done by technical and community colleges where a lot of the minority folks attend.
Okay.
I don't know how easy this might be to implement, but maybe easier with new construction, but especially single family homes, ensuring that they are prepared for accepting level 2 chargers at homes and places to plug in by driveways and street parking.
Right, right. I guess they call that's EV ready, and that's happening in a lot of places around the country where new construction is required to have infrastructure for electric vehicle charging stations. Yep, good one.
To expand on that, I guess I think we already mentioned multifamily homes and apartment buildings having EV charging, but I think it's important to make sure we're not forgetting, row homes and townhomes that might be doing street parking that don't have a driveway. So like the public right of ways where the city owns, like by sidewalks and stuff like that, should have EV infrastructure and be EV ready as well, to some extent.
Okay. Any other ideas for this portion of our conversation?
It looks like we have 2.5 minutes remaining.
Oh, fair enough. Thank you, Jeff. And so if you can go to the next slide where we are going to conclude. So what does success look like in the next few years? And feel free to just call these out in terms of policies, ordinances, outreach efforts, research needs, anything that you think what looks like success in the next few years.
EV chargers as common as gas stations.
Okay.
County is purchasing electric buses.
lines.
Oh, hold on. County is switching all buses from gas to electric.
Right, only buying electric buses. And that would
And
be
that is
school buses as well as county buses.
Okay, school and transit. Okay, next.
Two all electric BRT bus lines.
Nice. Anybody else?
I would go further than just buses. I would say all government vehicles be electrified, including police departments.
Well, we're only talking about 3 to 5 years now.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
How about yeah, okay.
Yeah,
How about,
yeah, there you go.
how about a trade-in program for fossil fuel vehicles?
Oh, what cash for clunkers?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and sort of directing towards EV for clunkers. Yeah.
Okay,
A
I think
government office to support EV transfer. So we'll have some place to go to get information.
a dedicated office of support. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Okay.
Clearinghouse, good word.
So in terms of outreach, okay.
I'm not sure if there's a way to prescribe this, but a report on DPI's improvement in terms of inspecting and approving PV arrays and EVs.
Improved DPI.
Just in terms of a 3 to 5 year plan. Thank you.
Okay.
yeah. Best of luck with that.
Okay, folks, that was a pleasure. Thank you so much. And we are going to go back.
Thank you for facilitating.
All right, we'll see you back in the main room.
Yes, indeed. Thanks, Mike.